welcome to Atamerica TV. My name is Maya. I'm one of the guests here at Atamerica. Talking about Atamerica, Atamerica is an American center. We are here under the U.S. Embassy Jakarta, providing you any kind of information and ideas about the United States through our programs. We have temporarily moved to a digital program, so you can enjoy our program from the comfort of your own home. So please help this country to flatten the curve of COVID-19. But before we continue, we have a pop quiz with a very special prize. The question is, what is the DC in Washington, D.C. stands for? I repeat one more time. What is the DC in Washington, D.C. stands for? All right, you can submit your answer through our Facebook Live comment, and we will announce the winner by the end of the program. All right, I think I'll be back after this one.
Hi everyone, I'm Fina, one of the advisors for EducationUSA here in Atamerica, who is ready to help you with your study plan in the United States. We can help you with many things, and here are some of the services that we provide for you guys. And how can you get access to any of this? Very easy. Simply email us to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. We look forward to it.
All right, welcome back. I think our facilitator is ready, right guys? Ibu Hafil, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, let's start the session then. I'll give the floor to Ibu Hafil.
Thank you, Maya. Hi, everyone. Hello. Good afternoon. Okay, so where are you now? Still in the same place that you were a few days ago? Okay, good. Now, we're going to continue, okay, with what we have discussed for those of you who joined us, all right, last time in our session, okay. So here it is. Yep. So now we are in the TOEFL iBT prep course writing for session 10, right? And this is the part 2 for session 10, which of course the whole TOEFL iBT prep course will take 12 sessions, yeah? Okay. So I hope you still remember, but if you're, this is the first time that you're joining, no problem, okay? I hope you still remember that what we did last time was the writing task for the integrated writing. And for the integrated writing, okay, we have, because it's integrated, of course, then the test taker will see the 230 to 300 word reading passage, right? And you will be given 3 minutes to read the passage, right? Afterwards, we will hear, or you will hear, a 2-minute lecture about the same topic, what was given in the lecture, in the passage, right? But it's usually from a different perspective, okay? Most of the time, the lecture will be talking about the same topic, but from a different perspective, right? There will also be just a few, maybe when you get that special test, it might be the topic will be something that will give you additional information, right? But we're going to be talking about mostly when the topic is of a different perspective. Don't worry if you haven't read everything and you didn't write everything on your notes, because then you will be able to see the passage again. It's going to pop up right in your screen, and you will be given the prompt. The prompt usually is then write a 150. Okay, here it is. So write a 150, yeah, a 150 to 225, okay, writing piece. Okay, and you have 20 minutes to do that. Right. So basically, this is what we need to do. Okay. we need you to be ready with, as we said before, with your T note, right? Make sure that you're ready with your T note. And the T note is simply just making a big T on your scrap paper. Remember that for the TOEFL IBT, you'll be given a scrap paper. Usually there are 3 scrap papers available, right? And make sure that you make a big T, okay? Because then you will be able to write your notes, okay? You will be reading it first. So most of you will probably be automatically writing your notes from the reading on the left column, while the listening notes will be put on the right column. But, okay, let me read. So basically, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to read, and then you're going to listen to a lecture. But again, okay, I'm going to remind you, the notes that you write, okay, the notes that you write should be able to, okay, the notes that you write should be able to answer the following questions, okay? What is the claim? Yeah? And the claim here is very, very clear that the claim here is in the last sentence of this paragraph. They claim that the Chevalier distorted or invented many events in the memoir to make his life seem more exciting and glamorous than it really was, right? So that's the claim. How exciting, how glamorous than it really was? Okay, here it goes. In the first paragraph, of course, that's the first event that they claim that he invented many events. So the first event here is about his wealth, right? In his memoir, the Chevalier claims that while living in Switzerland, he was very wealthy and is known that he spent a great deal of money there on parties and gambling. Okay, so in his memoir, he wrote that he spent a great deal of money on parties, on gambling. However, evidence has recently surfaced that the Chevalier borrowed considerable sums of money from a Swiss merchant. So this is a direct confrontation, okay? It contradicts this sentence. However, evidence has recently surfaced that the Chevalier borrowed considerable sums of money from a Swiss merchant. This is a direct contradiction to what it to what the memoir is all about. And so critics thus argue that if the Chevalier had really been very rich, he would not have needed to borrow money. So the event here is about his lifestyle, okay, that he spent a great deal of money on parties and gambling, but at the same time, he had to borrow considerable sums of money, according to the passage. The second event is that critics are also skeptical about the accuracy of the conversations that the Chevalier records in the memoir between himself and the famous writer Voltaire. So the critics here in the passage says that no one doubts that the Chevalier, of course, met Voltaire and conversed. Okay, remember the word conversed. Okay, think for just a few seconds the word converse. Okay, you probably know another word. You probably know another word that is similar to converse. To converse. Converse is the verb, and thus you know another word which is conversation. Yeah? So this is the verb of the noun conversation. I'm sure that conversation is a very, very familiar word to us. Now, anyway, however, so critics complain that the memoir cannot possibly capture these conversations accurately. Why? Because it was written many years after the conversations occurred. Critics point out that it is impossible to remember exact phrases from extended conversation held many years later. Okay, sorry, many years earlier. Because Chevalier, of course, wrote the memoir many years later after he had conversations with the famous writer Voltaire. So this is being questioned. Was the conversation with Voltaire that he wrote in his memoir really accurate or not? Bearing in mind that it happened a long, long time ago. Okay, so that's number two. Event number three that is being questioned here is that critics have also questioned, let's go to paragraph 3. Critics have also questioned the memoir's account of the Chevalier's escape. So this is the key word, his escape from a notorious prison in Venice, Italy. Yeah? He claims to have escaped the Venetian prison by using a piece of metal to make a hole in the ceiling and climbing through the roof. Now, that's what Chevalier claims, or that's what Chevalier wrote in his memoir. Now, the critics claim that while such a daring escape, now be very careful, in Bahasa Indonesia, we have the word dissimilar word, right? Now, this is a different word, not the word in Bahasa Indonesia that we know now. Daring here comes from what word? What word do you know? Think for a few seconds, okay? The word is dare, right? So daring is something that is very, very courageous. Something that takes a lot of courage. Brave, okay? Now, the critics claim that such a daring escape, what escape? Again, that he escaped from the Venetian prison using a piece of metal to make a hole in the ceiling, and afterwards climbed through the roof. Okay? Now, that's being questioned because it is more likely that the Chevalier's jailers were bribed to free him. They point out that the Chevalier had a number of politically well-connected friends, okay, in Venice who could have offered a bribe. Okay, right? So you got everything on your notes. And this is how your notes would look like, okay? Number 1, alone. Number 2, the notes on the conversations, okay? And number 3, about his escape, okay? It's likely that the Chevalier's friends bribed jailers to release him, and that the story about his escape from a Venetian prison through the ceiling is fiction. So this is the claim. This is the claim that you read in the first paragraph, in the last sentence. Okay? Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Now I'm sure you don't remember, or maybe you have taken notes for those of you who joined last time, but let's just remind ourselves what the lecture is saying. And since you already have the three pointers, right? From the reading, the 3 notes from your reading. So you have to concentrate now while you are listening. You've got to concentrate now on what the lecturer here says about the 3 claims or the 3 events. Okay, let's listen.
No memoir can possibly be correct in every detail, but still, the Chevalier's memoir is pretty accurate overall and is, by and large, a reliable historical source. Let's look at the accuracy of the 3 episodes mentioned in the reading. First, the loan from the merchant. Well, that doesn't mean that the Chevalier was poor. Let me explain. We know that in Switzerland, the Chevalier spent huge amounts of money on parties and gambling, And he had wealth, but it was the kind of property you have to sell first to get money. So it usually took a few days to convert his assets into actual money. So when he ran out of cash, he had to borrow some while he was waiting for his money to arrive. But that's not being poor. Second, the conversations with Voltaire. The Chevalier states in his memoir that each night, immediately after conversing with Voltaire, he wrote down everything he could remember about that particular night's conversation. Evidently, the Chevalier kept his notes of these conversations for many years and referred to them when writing the memoir. Witnesses who lived with the Chevalier in his later life confirm that he regularly consulted notes and journals when composing the memoir. Third, the Chevalier's escape from the prison in Venice. Other prisoners in that prison had even more powerful friends than he did, and none of them were ever able to bribe their way to freedom. So bribery hardly seems likely in his case. The best evidence, though, comes from some old Venetian government documents. They indicate that soon after the Chevalier escaped from the prison, the ceiling of his old prison room had to be repaired. Why would they need to repair a ceiling unless he had escaped exactly as he said he did?
Okay. Now, of course, from what you just heard, you should have these points, right? These points here. That the Chevalier, okay, you should have these points already, that the Chevalier had to that the Chevalier borrowed money because he needed time to convert his property into cash, right? So according to the lecture, it's possible that he is rich. And the reason that he borrowed money from a Swiss merchant is not because he was not rich, but he had assets or property, and he needed cash, and that needed time, of course, to be turned into cash. Okay. Number two, the accuracy of the conversations he had with Voltaire. Well, the reading said it took place a long time ago, so it can't possibly have captured the conversations accurately. The lecture said it is possible because the Chevalier had this habit, right? He jotted down, noted down everything, okay, the conversation right after he had the conversation and not before he wrote this memoir. Okay, so it could be pretty accurate. All right, and let's go to number 3. It's likely that the Chevalier's friends bribed jailers. Now, the argument that the lecturer proposed here is that there were others in the prison that were more powerful than Chevalier, but they didn't escape. So, if the jailers could be bribed, how come the other prisoners in the prison, more powerful than the Chevalier, did not escape? Okay, that's number 1. Think of it. This is the lecture, thinking of it logically, okay, rationally, it doesn't make sense. And there is another, the argument that's proposed by the lecturer there was an additional argument, which is that the ceiling in his cell had to be repaired, okay? Meaning that the ceiling was broken, there was something wrong with the ceiling, so he probably did escape, yeah? Okay, so basically you have these 3. It's very important that you capture the 3 points, okay? Because this is going to be the paragraph, how you develop your paragraph later on. Now, notice that there is a difference between this slide that I showed you, and look at it carefully. What do you have on the left column and what do you have on the right? If you see this one, looks similar, okay? It looks similar, but it's different in terms of how you organize your notes. Because here you have the listening, I switched it, yeah? You have the listening on the left column and you have the reading on the right column. Why did I do this? Okay. Because if you look at the prompt, right? If you look at the prompt, look closely, read closely the directions you have in the prompt. You have 20 minutes to plan and write your response. And your response will be judged on the basis of blah, blah, blah. Okay. And look at the second one. Okay, the second line. The points, okay, how well your response presents the points in the lecture and their relationship to the reading passage. And you're expected to produce a 150 to 225 words, okay? Don't write yet because the question will be read to you.
Summarize the points made in the lecture, being sure to explain how they respond to the specific points made in the reading passage.
Okay. Now, your notes should look at something like this. What happened to your notes is we're going to turn your notes now into an outline. So as we agreed, notes will automatically become outline, right? So you have the first paragraph that you might want to write about, which is, of course, what do you hear, okay, and how does what you hear, okay, or how is it related with what you read? Simply, that's what you write in the first paragraph. And because it has 3 events, 3 claims, you should be writing 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4. And paragraph 5 restating what has been stated in the paragraph, okay, in paragraph 1. So write what you are going to write it, and write what you have written. Okay, so listen carefully, write what you're going to write it, and the closing paragraph is write what you have written, right? Okay. How do we turn the paragraphs? So paragraph 2, this is the content. Paragraph 3, this is the content. And paragraph 4, this is the content. Okay, this is what we call topic development. Now make sure that you develop your writing, your paragraphs using this kind of topic development. That's already a pretty good point. Yeah, it's a good point. That means the reader or the rater will understand or will see that you have understood that there are 3 points. The fact that you are making 3 paragraphs. Each paragraph contains the points, okay? Different points, right? That's already a mark. That's already a score. rather than you have 3 claims actually, or 3 events, but you can only write 2. Okay, make sure that you capture everything completely. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you 3 openings. 3 openings from 3 different people. Yeah? I'm going to share with you 3 openings from 3 different people. The first one wrote, okay, this is what the first one wrote. According to the reading passage, the Chevalier de Saint-Cloud wrote a lot of things during his life, and his memoir has become very valuable for studying European history. But there are some different ideas between the lecture and the reading passage, which are arguing about whether his memoir is accurate and true.
Hello, Ibu Hafil.
Hi.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm so sorry to
Maya.
interrupt, but
No problem.
our time is up. So
Okay.
it's time for commercial break.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Fine.
All right, now you guys know how to develop our paragraph. Don't forget that you still have the chance to win a very cool prize by going to our Facebook Live and answer the questions in our comment section. I'll repeat to you the question one more time. What is the DC in Washington, D.C. stands for? Now, we'll be right back after this one. Stay tuned.
Hello, any particular plans you want to do next week? Well, wherever you go, it's not going to be a problem because we are currently going digital. Watch all of our events online. Here, I'm going to show you what we have on our silver platter for next week. On Tuesday, March 24th at 2 p.m., you can come and hear from our YSEALI Professional Fellow alumni. They will share how they grew their skills and led their communities in finding solutions to local problems. You can watch all of our events on our social media, which you can find them here, just below me. Don't forget to always stop over on our website and follow all of our social media for the most updated list of events. See you online!
Hi everyone! Do you want to create cool and inspiring events at atamerica? Easy! You can go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id. If you've clicked it, then choose Create an Event, then click Collaborate with Us, fill the form, upload your documents if needed, then click Submit. Still confused? Then you can download a proposal example as your guide. After you have submitted your proposal will be going through a review process by our team. And why are you still here? Go to our page now and send your creative ideas to us. We'll be waiting for you.
And we're back. Now, without further ado, let's continue our session, and I'll give the floor back to Ibu Hafil.
Thanks, Maya. Okay. Now, guys, while we were listening to the commercial break, yeah. Okay, I was like looking at the questions, the comments that some of you have, and I think I already wrote some of the answers, right? Okay, so somebody just to review, okay, somebody talked about your question is, so we should start with the listening, something like that, right? You should start with the listening, okay? Yes, you start with the listening, and then, okay, you start with the listening, but then afterwards, then you need from what you listen to, okay, then you should be able to correlate it with what you hear. So that's the whole idea. Yeah? Okay. Now, shall we continue? Okay. Let's continue because we have now the paragraphs we have the first, actually, this is the first paragraph. What you see is what some people, some test taker, okay, have written for their opening. Yeah. So as you can see, two of these people, two of the test taker did not make a paragraph or make a paragraph, but it's a very short paragraph. Look at number 3, for example. Giving some logical reasons,
Ibu
the
Hafil,
paragraph, yes?
can you share the screen of the
Oh,
presentation?
sorry.
Okay.
What happened?
Can you share the screen of the presentation?
Hold on.
Hello, Ibu Hafil?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. Like what? It's okay, guys. Hold on a second. Hang on.
Hold on a second, hang on.
All right, next week we still have several events still on digital platform. Please stay tuned on atamerica TV, okay?
Why am I unable to share my screen?
Okay.
Hold on.
All
Is
right,
it there?
have you
No?
guys joined in our social media quiz? If not, please answer the question on our Facebook Live comment section. The question is, what is the DC stands for in Washington, D.C.? Get it? All right, I'll repeat one more time. What is the DC in Washington, D.C. stands for? Okay, Ibu Hafil, do you have any questions?
Hold on. I think so. I don't know how to get back to my... Wait a minute. Here it is.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay, got it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ibu Hafil.
It's not full yet, is it? Okay. Let me just make it full. Yeah?
Okay.
Right. Okay. Is this where we left off? Sorry, guys. Okay. So, if you see the third sentence, all right, the third sentences, okay, here it is. Okay, so we have paragraph 1 or one paragraph, then we have another paragraph, then we have another paragraph. All these three, okay, all these three are actually, the first paragraphs of the test takers, yeah? So if you can see, it's very short. All of them is very short. One of them is just one sentence. The reading passage, right? If you can see that, the second one on your screen, the reading passage and the lecture are both talking about the memoir of the Chevalier de Saint-Cloud and its rate of accuracy. That's it. All right? And if you look at this one is probably the longest from the rest. According to the reading passage, the Chevalier de Saint-Cloud wrote a lot of things during his life, and his memoir has become very valuable for studying European history, but there are some different ideas between the lecture and the reading passage, which are arguing about whether his memoir is accurate and true. Okay. And if we jump to this one, so this is the shortest, only one sentence. This is with about 2 sentences, right? And this is also 2 sentences, but about 2 lines. Giving some logical reasons, the professor is defending the Chevalier's memoir and making it reliable. She uses sophistications to make the critics convinced that their claim on memoir is not true. Okay. Because we have read and we have heard. We know what this person means. Yeah? But for someone who didn't hear and didn't read the memoir, this is a confusing sentence. Okay? What do we mean by she uses sophistications? What do we mean by sophistication? Is there anything, does it make sense? Yes, there is a word sophistication, but it cannot be put in this context. She uses sophistications to make the critics, okay? She uses blah, blah, blah to make the critics convinced. If you're going to use here to make the critics convinced as an adjective, you're going to use the word adjective, and this is not an adjective. So you should put a D, convinced, that their claim, whose claim? Okay? She uses to that their claim. Suddenly there is a there, right? There. Now remember that there refers to something that you should, that you have talked about or you have stated. And I don't see any they before. Okay? Okay. So this is obstructive. What I mean by obstructive, it obstructs understanding of what she wants or what the writer wants to say. Okay, right? So you can probably guess. Okay, shall we take a guess? You can probably guess that it's not because the person here, okay, the person here, yeah, talked, that the person here wrote, sorry. So you thought that if I ask you, who got a 5, the highest score? Maybe you think of, maybe what you're thinking of, oh, it's probably the person who wrote this introduction. Why? Because it's longer. Why? Because it makes sense. It makes sense, yes. Because it's longer, not necessarily. Remember, it's got to be accurate, okay? So if this is the benchmark of 5, and you might be surprised that in the reading passage, okay, in the writing, there's only, she only wrote the reading passage and the lecture are both talking about the memoir of the Chevalier de Saint-Cloud and its accuracy. This one. One sentence. Okay? But she got a 5. How could that happen? I'm going to ask you to look again at your rubrics. Is there anything in the rubrics? All right? If you don't have your rubrics with you, fine. But please look at the rubrics, review the rubrics. Is there anything in the rubric for a score of a 5 that states the paragraph must not have only one sentence? I don't think so. Yeah? Okay. What's important is how you develop the 3 events. So here it is. She talked about the first point of the lecture, disputes. The reading passage's argument that the Chevalier was not wealthy. This is the main idea sentence. So in that paragraph, you have to put a main idea. And of course, since you already suggested that the lecture disputes the reading passage argument that the Chevalier wasn't wealthy, you are going to write details to prove, okay, to prove that the lecture suggests that the fact that he borrowed money to argue, to counter what the reading says. Because even if he borrowed money, it doesn't mean that he is poor. Okay, look, this is not a perfect sentence. The lecture suggests that the fact that he borrowed money from Swiss merchants doesn't mean his poverty. This is again word choice. What should be correct should be doesn't mean he is poor, right? Okay, but even with such a grammatical mistake, you can still get a fine. Why? Because this is holistic scoring. It's not just because you made a slip or a mistake, one, two, three sentences, grammar mistake, maybe, word choice, wrong word choice. No, it does count, but we look at the overall. We look at holistically, looking at everything, right? We look at grammar, we look at the vocabulary or word choice, and of course, we look at the topic development, how you develop the topic. Okay? Okay. Now look at the second one. The second point of the lecture, again, look at this. It starts with the first point of the lecture, the second point of the lecture. This time, the writer did not use the word dispute, but used the word argues. What does it mean? To the raters, the writer is showing his or her ability in terms of using a wide variety of vocabulary. Okay? Okay. And of course, again, the main idea of the paragraph argues against the readings passage's opinion about the Chevalier's conversation. And of course, here are the details. Yeah? And if we go to the third point of the lecture, okay, this time the writer did not say agree or disagree, dispute is against, disagree, okay. But this time the writer used the third point of the lecture refers to when the Chevalier escaped from prison. And the main idea of this paragraph is not put as the beginning sentence of the paragraph, but in the middle of the paragraph. Is that okay? It's okay. Because we are evaluating it holistically. It doesn't mean that you have to write all the topic sentence or the main idea sentence of your paragraph has to be in the first sentence of the paragraph. Okay? And this is the closing. Unlike the reading passage, the lecture considers the memoirs, okay, of the Chevalier de Gensault as a reliable and valuable historical source. That's it. Here, it doesn't even, okay, it doesn't even go beyond one sentence again, but it's very clear. Restate what has been stated. What has been stated? That the memoirs of the Chevalier, according to which the lecture, okay, is a reliable and a valuable historical source. That's it. Guys, this is a response for 5. Okay, so if you're thinking like, oh, what do I have to produce? Something that's very academic. If you look at it, this is not too academic, but it makes sense. It makes common sense because it is accurate. The information, important information, is selected successfully from the lecture and coherently and accurately it's presented in relation to the relevant information in the reading. Okay? So the response is then considered well organized, occasional, even though there is occasional language errors, but these occasional language errors do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections. We can still understand. Yeah? Okay. Look at the difference, all right, with what we mean by the response is well organized and occasional language errors that are present do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connection. Very different than, I'm going to go back to this one. Look at it again. This is what we mean when it's said that the language errors in terms of grammar, in terms of vocabulary, does not make sense. Okay? And for that reason, yeah, so the occasional errors that this response make still is able to provide a clear, okay, provide a clear expression of what the writer wants to say. Okay, now, remember, I think if you were with us during our speaking, yeah, during our speaking sessions, I think you remember that we talked about annotation. Annotations are raters' comments, are raters' justifications, okay? Because simply, yeah, because simply raters cannot just rate without making justifications. Why it's a 5, why it's a 4, a 3, and so on. So let's look at the rater's comments. Note that in coverage of all 3 points as well as the final sentence of the response, the writer has explicitly indicated what the relationship between information from the reading and the lecture is. Though test takers need to do this explicitly, it is one successful strategy for ensuring the cohesion of a response. There are a few language errors, as we pointed out, in this response that illustrate quite well the scoring's guide reference to errors that blah, blah, blah do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections. Yeah, for example, the word form gambles instead of gambling or gambled, okay, and you have subject verb agreement error, etc., right? In point 3, okay, I'm going to screenshot this again to all of you, yeah, so you understand. Look at the errors if you can pinpoint the errors, and I think from that, okay, so this time I'm going to ask you to read and notice, okay, notice the topic development, the sentences, the cohesion, and you might find some errors, but it does not hinders comprehension. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a few minutes to look at this and read carefully. Okay, and this is the last slide. Just going to give you 30 seconds, 1 minute to read this. Enjoy the reading. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to stop my sharing here. Hello, Ed America. How are we doing on time?
We
Maya,
still have 5 minutes left, Ibu
5
Hafil.
minutes.
Yeah?
Okay, so can I just go on with another 3 minutes or so?
Sure, sure.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Thank you.
Sama-sama.
Okay, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to answer some of the questions that you have here on the chat. Yeah. I think, okay, Anonymous asked, is it okay? And I think I already answered that, but just to review this, is it okay if I say the claim is some critics doubt the accuracy of the memoir? Yes. Some critics doubt the accuracy of the memoir. Where? Okay, in the reading, stated in the reading passage, right? But then you have to continue. Then you have to complete your sentence. Some critics doubt the accuracy of the memoir. Okay, stated in the reading passage. Yeah, but however, all right, the lecturer is able to refute. You know the word refute? Okay, yeah, to refute that. Okay, then you start with what are the three events being criticized. Okay, Indah, dalam paragraf 1, apakah sudah bisa dinyatakan bahwa listening passage mengkritik atau mengkontradik dengan reading passage? Bukan apakah sudah bisa lagi, harus. You have to. Very clear dari contoh-contoh tadi kan. Jadi don't beat around the bush. I know that my Indonesian students itu biasanya muter-muter sampai jadi mau bilang apa sih sebenarnya? Ya, you have to be direct. Okay? Okay. Can I send the writing rubric so I can download it? Indah, I think we have already posted that in the website. Okay, writing rubrics. I think we have posted that already in the website. Let me check again. Okay, and anything else? Can we paraphrase for the paragraph? I'm not sure I understand your question. You must paraphrase. You must paraphrase. You cannot just copy sentences from the reading and then write it. Okay? It has to be paraphrased. Yeah? All right. Is it totally okay just to write one more sentence in the first and the last paragraph? Is it totally okay to just write one mere sentence? Well, Anonymous, I just showed you that a piece of writing that got a 5. So the answer is okay. All right. I'm not a rater, but I just showed you something that got a 5. And the sentence, the example that I showed you that has more sentences than the others, yeah, okay, actually got a 4. So it's okay. Look at the rubrics. Look at the rubrics. It doesn't say anywhere in the rubrics that you get a 5 because you wrote 4 sentences in every paragraph. Does it say that in the rubric? No. Okay. So as I said, if you can write more than one, that's good. Yeah. But if you just write one, what I'm saying is that do not spend your time too much on your intro and your closing. What's important is, again, how you develop the topic in paragraph 2, 3, 4. Yeah? Okay? So I think I have answered all the questions. Maya?
Okay, Ibu Hafil. Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Hafil, for a very informative session. And thank you guys for tuning in. Don't go anywhere, because I have the name of the winner of the quiz for today. But first of all, thank you all for participating. The winner for today is, congratulations, Restu Satrio Bawono, Muhammad Fauzan Zulkarnain, and Fazdilah Reza Kaspuri. For those of the names that I've mentioned before, don't go anywhere because our social media team will be contacting you. Now, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.